Hello guys, in this video I want to make an introduction to Windows Server 2012 R2 data center from Microsoft. Here you see the server through a TeamViewer session on my other laptop that you can't see here. The first thing that we would like to do is to install the Hyper-V role. At this point there is nothing installed here. The only thing that is installed are the Windows updates and a very basic configuration like the name, my time zone, and some of that things. Hyper-V is a virtualization software from Microsoft where you can create virtual instances of an operating system that runs on your physical hardware. It is something like VMware or VirtualBox if you already know this software. Hyper-V is a so-called role of Windows Server 2012 R2. If we go to the server manager here, then say manage, add roles and features, we get a wizard, we click next, and we say role-based or feature-based installation. We choose the actual server, and here we have roles. Roles and features are not very clear to define what's the difference between those. I would say a role is a service like a DHCP server, a DNS server, an Active Directory domain, Hyper-V, or a web server where you provide services to your clients. We use Hyper-V here, and we say add the management tools and add features. Hyper-V is the server role where you can virtualize your operating systems, and here it says, do you want to have the remote server administration tools for Hyper-V? This is the GUI, the graphical user interface for Hyper-V, and yes, you would include every management tools and add these features. Then you click next, and you see here several features that are already installed. Features, for example, is .NET framework, BitLocker drive encryption, something like ink and handwriting services, a telnet client, or the Windows user interface here. If you select a server role like Hyper-V, the specified features here for the graphical user interface will also be installed. If you go here through this wizard, and you will see that the Hyper-V management tools are selected for installing. Now we click next, next. This is the network. We will create this later on. We say next. This enables live migration. This is a feature that we don't care about now. We say next. We say the default location for the virtual machines. Let this where it is now. Say next, and say restart the destination server automatically. Say yes, and now we click install. Now the install process is initiated, and the notebook or your server will boot about 2 to 3 times until the Hyper-V process is installed. Now the machine has rebooted twice and the Hyper-V role is installed successfully. Now I close the wizard and here you see Hyper-V now, and yeah, now I go to the start screen and I search Hyper-V Manager. I start the Hyper-V Manager, and the first thing that we would like to do is to create a virtual network. This is a bit different than VMware or VirtualBox. We go here to the start button, right click and say network connections, and here we see that we have a Wi-Fi connection or a VLAN connection and an Ethernet connection. We use this Wi-Fi connection here to connect this to the virtual machines. In VMware or VirtualBox you have the option that you connect this directly to the virtual machine. Here in Hyper-V you create a so-called virtual switch that creates out of this Wi-Fi connection a virtual switch, like you can have a physical switch from Netgear, from Belkin or from Cisco, and then in this virtual switch you plug in the network card of your virtual machine. So it makes sense that we have this here side by side, and now we say virtual switch manager here. We have three possibilities for virtual networks. External networks means that every virtual machine can connect to every virtual machine, to the host machine, and outside to the internet. Internal means that the VM connects to other VMs and to the host machine. Private means that only the virtual machines can connect and see each other. For testing purposes, and now what we do is only we create an external switch. We say create the switch, and for example we name it Wi-Fi switch. Here we select which external network card we want to use for this switch. We use the Intel Centrino Advanced N because this here is the Wi-Fi connection here. You can also go to the detailed informations here below and see which here is the official device name that you see here. Here we can allow the management operating system. This means the host machine, what we are using at the moment, is allowed to use this network adapter. In a normal case you allow this by default. Single root I/O virtualization means that the host machine here and the VM instances could go more directly to the network card without using several driver layers or hardware abstraction layers. This means more performance on the network. We enable this and we say apply. Now you see that this may disrupt the connectivity, and we say yes. Now maybe the TeamViewer connection will break a few seconds. After that we would see some changes here left. After applying the settings we see that this is successful here, and we can click OK. And here in the network settings, now we see that we have a virtual Ethernet switch here, which is called the Wi-Fi switch. If you go to this network adapter here that is called Wi-Fi, and you say right click status, you will see that you here see the Wi-Fi connection, and on details you see nothing, because this is now a switch, and a switch usually doesn't have any IP addresses. So we close it. For example, we could go to properties, and you see that you can't set any static IP address here. If you want to set a static IP address, you have to go to File Ethernet Wi-Fi switch, right click, status, and here you see on details, you see the internal IP addresses from the DHCP server and all the details from the network. So now if you go to properties here and to Internet Protocol version 4, you could set here a specific IP address if you want to, but this is not what we want to do now. I would say rename this to physical Wi-Fi and to virtual Wi-Fi. So, and there is a bridge here where you don't have to do anything, it's only there. And here you shouldn't, I would say you should not change any settings here. So now this is our LAN port or Ethernet port, our virtual Wi-Fi Ethernet port, and this is the physical Wi-Fi port that goes out of my notebook. But this is a Wi-Fi here, so it is not really a port. Now we have set the network interfaces, and now we would change and control the other Hyper-V settings of the host machine. So you go here to Hyper-V settings, and you see the first thing that you see is where it wants to store your virtual hard disks. To store the virtual hard disks, I would recommend to create a second partition where you store this stuff. I have a C Windows partition here with 50 gigabyte only for the host operating system. Now I will create and now I go to disk management and create a new simple partition, for example with 300 gigabytes, next, next, NTFS default, and say data, quick format yes, next, finish. And now here the VMs will be stored. After creating this partition, I will create a new folder called, say yes, I will create a folder called Hyper-V, and we will create one folder for the virtual hard disks and one folder for the VMs for the default folder. And now I go here to Hyper-V settings and change the path to E Hyper-V and VHD. Here is the default store for the virtual hard disks. Then we go to E, Hyper-V, and virtual machine folder here, and say apply. Physical GPU means if you have a dedicated graphics card on your host computer or server, then you could handle that or give that to your virtual instances if they need much graphics power. We will skip the NUMA nodes. Live migration will come later on. Allow enhanced session mode. We will allow this. This enables you to give USB drives that are connected to your host machine through the remote desktop session to your virtual machines, for example, and you could use something like the clipboard and other fancy stuff. Replication, we will skip this now. Keyboard means the specific Windows key combinations on your keyboard to get out of the window of your virtual machine. And here you can change if you want to use this in your physical machine or the virtual machine. We let this how it is. Here you can change the combination of your keys, how to release the virtual machine or how to leave the virtual machine. Enhanced session mode is enabled, and we don't need this now. We say apply. Now we have here our Hyper-V server with our configuration and the specific folder structure. Now that was our first part. I hope we see you soon in the next video.